Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got a couple of Gen 3 Pokemon that we need to be taking a little bit of a look at. And I'll be honest with you, they don't have a huge amount in common. We got Ludicolo and Claydol, we got a Stage 2 and a Stage 1. We got one we're playing for the ability and one we're playing for attacks if we're playing it at all. It's maybe not, too much in common here, but they're both Gen 3 Pokemon, so I don't know. Gen 3 remakes confirmed? We are, however, going to start off with Ludicolo here, because Ludicolo looks absolutely brilliant. Now, our translations here do come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, which I'm at this stage, I'm assuming most of you are probably guessing. And honestly, unless I tell you otherwise, the majority of these really are coming from Antoine. So, Ludicolo, then we've got 140 HP, which is low for a Stage 2, if I'm honest. We generally expect a little bit more. We've then got a retreat cost of 2, which isn't great, but it does mean free retreat with Air Balloon, which is generally my test for, anything at this stage. And weakness to lightning. I'll be honest with you, weakness to lightning looked alright until we saw Flaffy the other day. I think we're going to see a lot of electric Pokemon and electric decks coming around in the not too distant future. But then we've got water typing, and water typing's not too bad. It means we can accelerate energy with stuff like Frostmoth. It means we're hitting weakness on things like Victini, so that ain't too bad, ladies and gentlemen. That ain't too bad. Now, the attack here, 2 energy, 120 damage. It's fine. It's not good, but it's fine. It's only 2 energy, which is at least kind of low, and 2 energy, double weaknesses, 240, so you get Victini V, but you won't get Victini V Max. Basically, you'll get anything that's weak until you get up to V Maxes. It's fine, it's useful, it is far from the reason we're playing the card. The reason we play the card is the ability Hype Dance. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may use this ability. If you do, during this turn, attacks from your basic Pokemon deal 100 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. I have seen some incorrect translations floating around that saying this works on all Pokemon. It doesn't. It only boosts your basic Pokemon. So it will boost your Vs, but not your V Maxes. And this is brilliant. This is phenomenal. I mean, the thing here is you can take as weak and bog standard a Pokemon as you like. So let's take a Pokemon like Ducklet. I love me some Ducklet. I've just never been able to play with Ducklet because we've never had a particularly good Swanna. One of them's alright, I suppose. And we've definitely never had a particularly good Ducklet. Doesn't stop me, of course, because I love me some Ducklet. But the Ducklet from Darkness Ablaze will, for a single colourless energy, flap for 20 damage. And that's fine. But you're never really going to use it. It's kind of an emergency attack or an I've got nothing better attack. But now, if you evolve into 4 Ludicolo, all of a sudden that's doing 420 damage. Now, let's take the most HP of any Pokemon we've got in the game at the moment. That is Eternatus. That's 340. Well, now let's go and give Eternatus a big charm, which is a tool you can use to go and get some extra HP. And now Eternatus is up to 370. Not only are you getting a KO, you're actually 50 damage over. And I deliberately went for Ducklet as an example, because Ducklet is about as underwhelming as you can get. This can let Ducklet KO Eternatus. To put it simply, it lets pretty much anything KO pretty much anything. Now, you do have to be able to do some damage. Remember that the rule has always been in Pokemon that you cannot add to nothing. So you cannot just use this to boost any Pokemon up to 400 damage. You need to be able to do at least 10 damage to begin with. If you don't have a damaging attack, this won't do anything for you, but as long as you've got an attack that does some damage, no matter how little, it will go nuts. Now, I'm using an extreme example here. Obviously, this isn't going to work all that often. What we are looking at here is something more along the lines of, hey, I'm using Zacian. Zacian hits 230. Now Zacian hits 330. Now that won't actually guarantee a KO on any Pokemon VMAX. It'll get the majority of them and not all of them. But remember, Rusted Sword is a thing, which will then put you up to 360 and you'll be fine. Vitality Band will put you up to 340, and 340 will get any non-boosted VMAX there is. So basically, yeah, that's the kind of thing we're looking for. Now, it is a stage 2 and it is kind of awkward, but this is a huge amount of extra damage. And we've got 2 extra tricks that make this more viable than it might otherwise be. First, we've got the top entry Lombre. Lombre is one of those Pokemon, weirdly they all began with L, that had that top entry ability. If you draw it as your Pokemon for the turn, you can play it straight down as if it was a basic, even though it's a stage 1. That's kind of phenomenal. Like, really kind of phenomenal. So that's something you need to bear in mind. The other thing, of course, is that you've got your Oranguru here. So essentially what you do is if you draw it naturally for your turn anyway, yay. If you don't, when it's in your hand, just at the end of your turn, use Oranguru to put it on top of your deck, so you'll draw it at the beginning of your next turn and be able to play it down. That will make your life so much easier. The other thing, of course, here is Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net just lets you pick up a non-GX, non-V Pokemon, so here you can essentially pick up Ludicolo to reuse it. There's got to be a deck out there that can use a combination of top entry Lombre and Scoop Up Net to do this consistently, and although my Ducklet example's a little bit silly, stuff like Zacian doing an extra 100 damage, that can literally, it's going to take a single prizer into one-hit KOing Pokemon V. And it's going to take Pokemon V into one-hit KOing V Max, and that's kind of my point here. My boy Donphan all of a sudden for a single energy does 220, and that basically KOs any Pokemon V. If I do it twice, I'm KOing most V Maxes. See where I'm going here? If you can make this consistent, it's a game changer. I'm giving this one 4 Wassies because, look, on the one hand, it is an absolutely phenomenal, ridiculous, crazy, over-the-top ability. And on the other hand, it's kind of awkward to get using and kind of unreliable, so 4 Wassy seems about fair. Now, the other Pokemon that has gone and been revealed is Claydol, which is a little bit less exciting, but it's just been revealed in the last, 10 minutes as I record this, so let's have a gander. Now, we are at 120 HP here on a stage 1. That's bad. Lots of Pokemon hit 120, including Urshifu, that hits 120 to 2 Pokemon. You really don't want 120 HP right now. Boo, hiss, etc. Same retreat cost of 2, and weakness of grass is not a big deal. Now, the first attack here, 2 colourless energy, 30 damage. You switch with your bench. Your opponent switches with their bench. It's fine. The biggest problem here is you're only doing 30 damage. We got Twin Energy, which is awesome. Twin Energy will essentially pay this in one go, so it's an easy enough attack to get using. The problem is you're only doing 30 damage. And you can switch to the bench and you can put some kind of Pokemon in the active to try and block for you. I don't know, maybe something like a Galarian Weezing, which will ability lock your opponent. And you can make your opponent switch, which can be annoying for them, make them have a switch, etc., bearing in mind they'll also be ability locked. There are going to be games where this is useful, but the biggest problem is, even in the games where it's useful, you're still basically talking 30 damage. It's going to take a very long time to get very far up here. I am sorry. But a second attack is a little bit more interesting. 1 fighting energy, or 2 fighting if you want to be traditional about it. Place damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon until its remaining HP is 60. So you use this to put any Pokemon down to 60 HP. Well, they're active, but whatever it is. And then anything that can do 60 damage, and I'm not going to give you a list, there's a billion Pokemon out there that can all of a sudden go and get a one-hit KO. It's a way to basically all but guarantee a 2-hit KO on anything, and that's kind of awesome. Now, you are almost certainly giving up Claydol to do this, which is a little bit of a problem. And you may well be giving up a KO after, depending on what you actually take the KO with. So it's not quite as good as it might look, because a lot of the time you're giving up a minimum 2 prizes to get this rolling. So against a VMAX, it'll probably work out, but it's not quite that easy as it might seem. The other thing is, we can look at this and go, well, we've got Galarian Rapidash. And I know Galarian Rapidash is a Pokemon V, which means you give up 2 prizes when KO'd, that's sad, etc. However, it's for 2 colorless energy, which is way easier, and it's on a basic Pokemon. Now that puts them down to 100 rather than 60, but you've got things like Rapid Strike Urshifu that can easily go and deal with that. Or the incoming Jolteon V Max that does 100 to the active and 100 to a bench damage Pokemon. So those kind of Pokemon are going to absolutely love this. And that's kind of my biggest problem here. I can look at Galarian Rapidash and be like, 2 colorless energy, I can get it with anything. And it's a basic, it can be a nice surprise, etc. I look at Claydol and I'm like, it's nice and putting it down to 60 is good, but it's only the active, whereas Rapidash can go for the bench, and it's for 2 fighting energy on a stage 1, and unfortunately 2 fighting energy on a stage 1 is a problem. Sure, you can accelerate energy with B, and there are some other kind of awkward ways to do it, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think this is easy enough to use. I'd rather have Galarian Rapidash. And that puts Claydol in an interesting place for me, because on the one hand, I like both of these attacks, they're kind of interesting, and on the other hand, I don't think either of these attacks are going to be enough to make me want to play it. I'm going to go ahead and give it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric, because I do think there is absolutely some potential in that second attack. I am really hoping somebody has seen something in it that I haven't. That would make me very, very happy. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.